Good evening. I hope I'm going you well. Not a bad day. A bit dull, but no rain, thank God. I did do a bit of a journey this morning up to Navan and do uh, Bishop Strickland light, and it's for the challenges of the laity in the 21st century is the title of it. And there's often challenges in life, isn't there? There's always challenges. But he's talking about it. Um, what's this? He was talking about. Uh, yeah. Now, meaning, and he mentions about meaning that young people are searching for truth and some purpose in life. And when he says young, I presume they're young adults. Because when you're young, and even if you have a foundation, when you're teens and all that period, I don't remember it too much in my time because there was such support. But nowadays, there's more distractions, isn't there? We didn't have laptops and computers and phones. Matter of fact, you had to wait a few years to get a landline at that time, and not many people had phones. You're looking to have a bicycle. And so, but you felt that you were doing all right. You didn't feel deprived. You were going to mass and confession, and masses was packed, and so you had that foundation. But when you're young, it's a period when you're finding your feet, aren't you? You're neither young nor an adult, and you're formed by what people around you. And there's a mixture, isn't there? There's always a mixture. The good, the bad, and the ugly, if you like. Not so much the ugly, but ones that could put you astray in some ways. But you didn't mix with them, funny enough. And you didn't have too many distractions. The radio was always producing programs that were kind of good. The state Radio Ireland, but they changed as time went on to be something quite totally different with the radio and television, and you won't be uplifted there. But in any event, we're talking about Bishop Strickland and his book, and just paraphrasing. So young people need a purpose, and they're not getting it, we say, in their homes or in society, and therefore they're confused and they're in darkness. But those that looking for a purpose find it in the traditional way of celebrating Holy Mass, the reverence, and Mass celebrating the Latin with the priest pacing the tabernacle. And people eventually come around to liking that. And so the young people, um, even though they'll have problems in life because you don't escape those, no matter what age you are, they're always there. But you cope with them as best you can, don't you? And yeah, that's what life is all about. But if you have a purpose in the foundation of the Catholic faith, that marvelous gift, you're able to get solace. You say an odd prayer. Jesus, I'm in a bit of spot. I'm a spot of bother now. Come to my aid, my Saviour. Jesus, mercy, Mary, help. Little aspirations. Jesus, make an humble of heart, make my heart like unto thine. That type of thing. Now, these are ones that we would use, and I hope in the United States and those people that have the Catholic faith, that great gift, that they fully appreciate it. And even if they're going to Holy Mass, and sometimes the priest and whatever parish they're in might be doing things a bit different than they would like, but nonetheless they're getting Mass. That's the main thing. And the priest that's doing it, if he's doing it a good reverend way, they will then they're uplifted. If he's doing it in some kind of another way, well, then they have to pray for him, but they're getting the Holy Mass, and they can go to confession and get a good priest that will, and go to confession regularly, once a month, maybe once a week if they can. It does you good. Certainly evaded the sacraments. That's the beauty of the Catholic faith. Now, the bishop, as I say, talks about the kind of purpose that practicing the Catholic faith gives you. And we certainly recommend that in any parish in the United States, irrespective of the activity or lack of it of the local bishop or archbishop or cardinal, for that matter, that might be singing a different tune than what you would like to hear. Because I think the traditional way of doing things stood the test of time and the reverence attached to it. That's the main purpose of the Holy Mass, is the reverence attached to it. And it's always good, even people, priests saying Mass in the English. Face the tabernacle, I think, is the best way, isn't it? It shows reverence. And it kind of focuses on the altar. With the priest, I think, a very peculiar move to have their back to the tabernacle. After all, we're in the church and we're facing the tabernacle. So I'm in favour of that, just as experience, and that's the way it was in my young days up when I was 30. So the bishop has come to that way of celebrating Holy Mass, and it's a good thing. And the church, in the traditional way, with some stained glass windows and shaped like the cross, that's the best way, the Gothic way, or that way, and that's the way churches should do. I don't like these round affairs because you don't have any centre. And I like the traditional Stations of the Cross, not some of the modern ones that you nearly have to sort of figure out what it is. They're just too, I don't know what, is it with it or something? I prefer a proper Station of the Cross with a picture of our Saviour, that type of thing. And I think the bishop has moved around it that way. And he's written in one of our magazines here that comes out every fortnight, the Catholic Voice. And we hope that he'll visit, like Bishop Snyder. He's a good, something of the style of Bishop Strickland. He speaks English. He's from one of the countries that they wouldn't have as good of number of people practicing the Catholic faith. There would be other religions, Afghanistan or somewhere, but he's an auxiliary bishop there, and he's quite good. And long may he continue. It'd be great if other monsters like that, and like Bishop Strickland, standing up for the reverence and the truth and the facing the tabernacle, and maybe saying Mass in Latin. But given your sermons and your the epistle and the gospel and that, and you say it in Latin, but then you can say it in English, and then you have a missal, and so you're able to follow it. And sometimes in some churches where the Latin way is celebrated, there's a little booklet that's provided, but then you leave it, you don't take it. And it has the main things in Latin. It mightn't have the present gospel or that, but then you'll hear it in English, and you'll hear the epistle and all the rest of it. And when they're given then a sermon, I prefer the word sermon. When they're given that, well, it's in English, and if it's in English or if whatever language the country that you're in, but that's the beauty of Latin, right? It's universal, as we were taught. Universal. You don't hear that word mentioned in the United States because whatever, it must have been celebrated that way years ago. But you don't hear the word universal. And that's what the Latin rite was, the universal language of the Catholic faith, so that you get Mass in any part of the world. So there we are, that's Bishop Strickland. So we'll continue another little bit about what he has to say tomorrow, please God. So I'll be doing my hymns after this, and then let's talk, and then be wrapping it up for the evening. You'd be glad to hear. Oh, now.